All right.
Welcome, everybody, to In the Buff. Today we got Chris, Cody, Scott, and John here today. We're here to talk to you about Arcane Pain.
I don't like it. I don't like the every time.
Arcane Pain?
No, Arcane Pain.
Arcane Paint.
Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, everybody.
Here we are.
Last
podcast was a real shit kicker, huh?
It's not even up yet.
Yeah.
That one was a real girthy talk about House of Leaves.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like tuna can girth. It was like spray paint bottle girth.
It was like Arizona iced tea.
Oh, there we go.
But because of that, we recorded that yesterday to break the illusion, and we don't have comments.
Yeah,
unless they're new ones.
So I did a half... Okay.
Okay, yeah.
There's not really.
There aren't comments.
I went through the important ones.
You know, that podcast of us talking about House of Leaves really lit a fire under me.
Yeah.
And it's a book that's really fun to talk about. I don't know if it's necessarily as much fun to read, but that's probably because of my hypersaturated fried Zoomer brain.
Right, absolutely.
I love it.
And it got me thinking, like, it's inspired me so much that I really kind of want to do, like, a proper, like, refined video essay.
Yeah.
You know, take that 3-hour podcast episode and really distill it down to, like, a 4-hour video. Call it a brief summary of A House of Leaves.
That is legitimately the kind of video that I would turn on, and I probably have done this before, where I've just turned on a video exactly like this, and I've listened to the same one more than once while playing, like,
I did
Rocket
that
League.
with that Kingdom Hearts one.
Yeah.
If you two would like for us to make that,
You can
leave a
go fuck
comment, tell
yourself,
us
because
about
we're
it.
probably going to do it anyway.
That is also true.
And then you can enjoy it after you fucked yourself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody should fuck themselves at least once a day.
No.
Yeah, I mean...
Unless things start to chafe, then you should take a day off or so.
That's true.
Mm.
I've sworn off of it for Lent.
When's
For
that?
Sorry, for what?
Lent.
Oh, Lent. I thought you just stroked out saying the word life.
Chris, it's June.
Yeah, I don't know if you...
Oh, Lent's over.
Yeah.
I'll be right back.
Hold on. We're not talking about, like, the dust.
Wait, is that why
collection?
your eyes have been popping out of your sockets for the last few months?
Guys, I've been... I know.
You have an addiction.
No.
I can understand I can understand what an addiction's like.
Really?
Oh,
Because
man.
of personal experience or maybe a character that you put on?
AA's for quitters.
Oh, true.
Column A,
True.
column B. For him.
Mm.
Hey, so, let's just, I was going to say something.
Well, you just said something there.
I did say something, so I guess that means we can move forward.
Oh, yeah.
What would you guys like to talk about today?
We do half your corner, half the session.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So you want to start with the session?
Yeah, let's start with the session.
let's start with the session.
Where'd we start off?
Well,
where did we end? What was the last thing we
Last
talked
update was...
I think the last update is you guys were heading towards the Githyanki city of Tunerith.
Yes, that's on a dead god.
It is on a dead god.
Like nowhere.
about? Man,
From
I-
Marvel.
Yeah.
I can't wait until... I'm already derailing this, by the way. I
You're
can't
good.
wait until we get to my campaign after this. So I don't have to worry about taking session notes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I can just re-listen to the podcast.
I will say, thinking about it now, I think my character would be an avid note taker in your campaign.
Oh, yeah, because he can't talk.
Exactly.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. So these chuckleheads had commandeered a ship
Please,
to...
chuckle fucks.
Thank you.
to rescue their two friends from the evil clutches of the Githyanki. Githyanki? Are they evil? Maybe.
I
Maybe
hope
not.
so.
Let's find out. And
Hollywood stars and celebrities.
Chucklehead A, codename Tybalt, and Chucklehead B, codename Seamus, played by Scott and Chris here, got themselves into a bit of a kerfuffle with a giant. They got captured and basically pawned off to the Githyanki and sent to the pit fighting arena. And at the same time, the other Chuckleheads, mainly John, our friend Andy, and our friend Justin, were running around with a ship full of Githzerai monks who were coming to Tunerith to enact revenge against the Githyanki.
Let's be honest. They came here to reenact the United States versus Japan.
Oh, you think okay?
That they Hiroshima.
Japan didn't hit us back as hard as the Yankees seem to hit back.
Well,
Soiree.
Even up until the time that you guys get here, it was unclear whether or not they could actually pull through and commit to this apocalyptic level event.
Well, that's because you roleplayed them so well. Because they, in my mind, they were just, okay, here is this weird cosplay group that has taken their role-playing a little too far.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was... Yeah,
and exactly. So they're like, their worries are about bake sales. We have to sell more goodies so then we can go and infiltrate the city so we can summon our giant god. Yes! I was like, they're so campy and weird. It's like a Conan character.
Conan the Barbarian?
No, O'Brien. And I love it.
The bake sale is definitely like...
top tier A joke for us.
This is what you make for me to think, all right, so these are lambs to the slaughter.
We knew going in they wanted to summon dragons. I'm pretty sure somebody said dragons at one point. And then the book showed up and it said summoning dragon.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking, I can see two possibilities, obviously. The one I'm betting on happening is they're going to summon a dragon, a guy, like just, I don't know, a big lizard with wings is what I'm imagining will show up. And we already know the Yankees, the Gith Yankee, have their own army of dragons that they ride and shit.
Mm-hmm. Like, dragon riders.
Yeah, so I'm not thinking it's going to go so great.
I imagine this is the Astral Seeds version of, would you rather fight one god-sized dragon or 1,000 lizard-sized god dragons?
Yeah.
So yeah, I had them pegged for, they're going to be fodder. That's it. That's all they are. And I was thoroughly surprised.
Right. So, leading up to that, I think the last time we spoke, we were talking about how you guys had got caught in the security room in the shipyard.
Oh, yes.
And we didn't know whether or not you guys were going to make it out. They made it out. Against quite long odds.
Yeah.
Basically, every important role that they had to succeed at, they did. And they made it out of danger. They were still in disguise. And they get out of the security room. They go through a back hallway to basically just a break room. And since they just destroyed the security and communications room, nobody can raise a site-wide alarm in order to say there's intruders and to have a organized search crew against them. And rather than committing to going hallway by hallway through this shipyard asteroid, they just find a balcony and just start rock climbing, traversing across this asteroid face in order to escape the danger.
God, now looking back at it, other than 2 fatalities of NPCs, that plan went basically perfect too.
Yep.
It was off the rails perfect, but it was everything that we needed to happen happened.
Yep.
Other than the fatalities of those two NPCs.
But I went in expecting somebody not to make it out.
Rest in pepperoni, Sister Crippins.
Sister Crippins and Brother Cantilever. Yep. They gave their life for Zerth.
So what's happening on the other side is... oh my god, I almost called you Sven, huh?
Sven is hanging out in the crystal coffin.
Yeah, Sven's a corpse. Tybalt,
of course he is.
Tybalt and Seamus managed. We went to the pit fighting arena and managed to bump into, of course, our other friend Balkner was there. Him and Sven are the reason we came to the Astral Sea in the first place. If we need to be caught up with that, we find Balkner, catch him up, and we're like, okay, Balkner has gotten some sway. He is a good pit fighter. He wins a lot. So
his nickname is Zephyr.
Zephyr. What a
fun little man.
Every time that is said, I just think of the Red Hot Chili Pepper song. Not gonna lie.
I don't even know what song you're talking about.
Take a ride on my Zephyr. It's probably talking about a penis, but
anyway, he's like, okay. We tell him a plan is occurring, a plan is happening. and shit's about to kick off, because we aren't in contact with the other side, but we trust that some dragon is going to show up at some point, and that will cause chaos and allow us to escape with Balkner. So he uses his sway to organize this fight with a giant pit monster thing.
A demon
man. And he's like, I got you and Seamus into the fight, so the three of us are going to be participating, but everything's got to kick off in the fight, because it doesn't end until only one person's standing, as far as I presume. Mm-hmm. So we teamed up on the demon, and but while they're fighting the demon,
sorry, hard transition. Hey guys, it's John. We are slowly rolling a boat towards them. We got the boat because we were doing that rock climbing that we said. Mm-hmm. We stopped at a dock. One of the Githyanki was like, "Hey, what the fuck are you guys doing here?" Most of us look like the Yankees. Reese is the only one who doesn't. He's hiding in a backpack because we're clever girls. And a bluff check happens. It works, and he's like, "All right, stay here, and I'm gonna go check this out." And we're like, "You guys want to get on that boat?"
He told us to stay here, but fuck him, right? Like, fuck him.
Yeah.
And
so
we're not even actually Githyanki.
Yeah.
There's a random,
wait, yeah, of course. Wait,
there's
yes.
a random guy who's like, as you guys are trying to leave, he's like, he said to stay here.
Fuck that. I don't even remember what our response was, but we were like, we're not doing that.
I think it was like, didn't you hear what we just told him? Shit's going down in there. I'm getting out.
Oh, yeah.
No, I think what it was they were like, one of our friends got injured in a scuffle, and we're taking him to the infirmary.
Yeah.
And then the guy's
It's not that way.
the infirmary's not towards the pit fighting
They're
arena.
just rowing out of the sky.
So this gave us our first opportunity at the very end. Of the last session and beginning of this one, we sent a message to the Zerai saying, "Hey, we've kicked things off. It's time for you to go. Distraction's happening." And during that whole time of us escaping, that boat took off, and a whirlpool was starting to muster underneath of it. And this is where everything started to build up. And you did a great job of building up the climaxes so they kind of hit together.
Yeah.
Because we were on our way and we were slowly getting there. We're on a little fucking rowboat. And Reese has little arms, so you saw the dark edge kind of taking off, and the whirlpool.
The dark edge is the one the Zerai are on.
Yeah. The one that Zerai were
the
on.
boat that all of you came here on.
Yeah.
Yep. And we picked up, we could hear wind in your audio. Mm-hmm. And I was like, is that wind? And you just looked at me and you gave me this answer that I'm like, oh, I'm gonna stop thinking about it then. And you were just like, yeah, I'm playing wind.
And you're like, have we ever heard wind in the astral sea before? And you're like, and I'm like, no, you haven't.
So there's 3 plots happening here. Reese, Andreas, and Elizabeth are trying to make their way to the pit fighting arena, while the Zerai are summoning dragon.
Question mark.
Yeah. And the other party, Tybalt, Balkner, Seamus, and Sven, are going to challenge something. They don't know what it is at first.
And it turns out it's a giant demon that they have to fight. And so Andreas, Reese, and Elizabeth have to get to the pit fighting arena, and then Tybalt, Seamus, and Balkner have to survive in the pit fighting arena long enough for backup to arrive.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is, it's a sold-out show.
Yeah.
And so it's not like they can just take their little rowboat and just come in and say, hey, jump on the boat and interrupt this pit fight. However, something else does interrupt the pit fight. A Githyanki dragon rider flies by the arena and calls this alarm, blows this giant horn, raising a siren, and all of the stands just start to empty out. The fight's still going on.
Yep.
Everybody's just there's an emergency happening.
It's like the tornado sirens going off during a gladiator fight.
Yeah.
And there was a moment here where I saw that dragon rider come up, and I was gonna ask if we were in range of it, because I was going to tell Andreas to cast a silence spell on him so no one heard anything. And I was curious, how would that have affected things?
Well, I suppose if the dragon rider if nobody heard the alarm go off, nobody would have left the stadium. Like, it's not uncommon for a dragon rider to ride a dragon around this area. And so if they weren't, raising the alarm, then everybody in the stands would have continued as normal.
We show up, like, we drop down into the fight, and all the people in the stands are like, boo, beat the shit out of them. And now there's just a fucking crowd of fucking Yankees that are beating the shit out of us.
So spoiler alert, we kill the demon. Reese kills the demon with his magics, and the stands have emptied out. So we just kind of get in the boat and start going away. And we're like organizing, playing like, well, okay, what do? We side plot, had been told by a illithid, a mind flayer, to implant a worm, a brain worm.
One of those tentacle-faced sucker fucks.
Into a high-ranking official, preferably, in the Githyanki fleet. And we had our eyes on this one guy named Admiral Veseman.
Veseman the specimen.
And we saw his ship in the distance, but, like, I like to imagine we see his ship, and then, like, the focus changes. Mm-hmm. And behind him is this enormous, like, funnel cloud, and the light is shining. You go for
it. So, the Dark Edge, the boat that the Githzerai are on, and are enacting this ritual of summoning on, is directly over this, like, giant whirlpool that is just mixing and careening in the Sea of Stars. And there's, like, this holy blue and gold light shining from underneath this whirlpool. And it's just, like, this giant funnel that goes so deep down into the ocean. And this, like, beam of white gold light just erupts through the ship. And out of this whirlpool comes an enormous platinum dragon. I describe it as incomprehensibly large. Like its wingspan across mountains, it would be so large. And it comes up out of this whirlpool directly through the Dark Edge and just shatters it to pieces. And then it flies towards Tunerith to enact vengeance on the Githyanki.
It does exactly that.
It does exactly that. For the rest of the encounter here at Tunerith, there's just this platinum white gold dragon wreaking havoc on the citizens of this city.
And there's nothing, like, a dragon rider shows up to him, and he just, like, palms it in his dragon hand and crushes it.
Just destroys it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And these are dragons that are, like, huge.
Yeah.
Like, I think maybe, like, some of them might be colossal. I forget what the next size up is. But it's just palming them. So, like, we don't stand a fucking shit.
And so
we're a fly to this thing.
Again, the focus shifts to the guy, our target ship, and we're like...
Dreadnought, I think?
The Dread Sovereign.
The Dread Sovereign.
So we're just like, all right, okay, we gotta get him. We know that Elizabeth and Andreas both still look like Githyanki, so we come up with a plan to pretend to have some sort of important information regarding the Zerai. And so they're gonna sneak onto the ship. We go back to the dock, and steal this bigger ship that we can actually escape on rather than this rowboat. And then we take that ship to the Dread Sovereign to complete this brainworm job.
Yep.
So they sweet talk their way. We use all of our inspiration to get them into a room with the captain, and then use the rest of our inspiration to make sure he fails. They're alone in this room with him. Bulkner and Reese are in Andreas and Elizabeth's backpacks. And Reese just pops out and just like, whole person on the captain, and Bulkner brainworms him.
Dude, the description for that was unnerving.
Horrible.
It was
so good.
Incredible.
So what happened was, by the way, just to get into that room, no joke, they failed every single check, but used inspiration to succeed every single check. It was incredible. Some of them, like, yeah, it was just like by the seat of their pants.
At the start of each session, we have to, like, petition Cody to grant us a inspiration dice, which is just basically advantage on a roll or disadvantage on a roll you don't want to succeed.
And usually, if Cody doesn't already have a reason for us, that's when we have to, like, try to, like, figure out why we would have gotten it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And if we hadn't bartered for every single person to get inspiration, I mean,
would not have succeeded.
I don't know what would have happened.
Chris's was the absolute worst case that we presented, and it was, I played my character well.
You did.
You did play your character well.
Well, my petition was I had a good one shot.
That's
while
right.
he was
That's right.
gone.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was like...
could have made that your corner. Idiot.
Like the role that he put his inspiration on was when they were lying to get aboard the Dread Sovereign, the Admiral's like flagship, and they were lying about their reason there, and they roll all right on deception, but the person they're talking to rose really high on their insight. And so Chris is like, I want to apply disadvantage to his roll, and he changes it from like a natural 15 to a natural 1.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
God, that is so fucking fitting for you, man.
Yeah.
Dude,
Chris is-
I roll so bad all
I
the
got
time.
I got you that T-shirt.
Yeah.
Live fast, roll trash.
I
Because
roll-
you roll
I-
absolute dog shit.
I
all
wore
the
it during the
time.
one shot.
And
He
it's
did.
like,
He did it then, yeah.
man, that was incredible. We
So-
also determined that Andy's character had the highest charisma, and Justin immediately, it had to be between their two characters since they were the Yankees. And Justin's immediately like, you're doing the talking.
So they get into the Admiral's private quarters, and they're like, hey, we have a message for you. And he's like, what's the message? Who's it from? And
It's from the lady herself.
it's from the Queen Vlakith, the Empress of the Githyanki. And he's like, that's weird. I was just talking to her.
It seems, yeah, sure, absolutely, I buy it.
But and this is, again, you can't plan this. He's like, for some reason, all of our communication systems have gone down at Stardock, so nobody is able to get accurate and consistent information anymore.
Well, that some reason was our little boy.
Reason?
Oh!
I threw a fireball in the room.
And he destroyed all of their equipment. And so...
I blew it up.
This was the room they were trapped in
Yep.
when we first got here.
Mhm.
My favorite thing is, like, he said that, and, like, Justin looked at me. I was actually, like, John was clueless for a moment. I'm like, wait, is there something else going on? Oh,
Oh.
that was me.
So they hold person him. He succeeds. You cast silvery barbs. He still succeeds on disadvantage. Justin uses his inspiration die to provide triple disadvantage.
And it was our last inspiration
That was
dice.
it.
And he fails the wisdom saving throw
By
1 point. He needed a 17, he got a 16. And he gets held person, and
Justin casts silence. And the silent movie that plays in my head is probably one of the most horrific things, because Balkner breaks the glass case with the worm.
it's
over
like a black slug with tentacles and tendrils and a big sucker mouth. It's very unnerving and eldritch.
And, like, the idea that, like, he's now held here and has to watch this thing go into him.
Mm-hmm.
And he can't do anything about it. He can't scream. Even if he wanted to scream, no one would hear it.
Yep.
And he's just silently screaming as these tentacles grab his face and start clawing its way to his eye, and holds his lids open and crawls his way into its socket to reach his brain.
Bro.
And then we see it like crawl under his skin,
And we
as
can
he's
see it
still
moving
writhing.
and
You could see it moving underneath his skin.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And I'm like,
Disgusting.
And Justin's like, "Oh my god!" And I'm just like, "This is so cool!"
and I'm like, I lock the doors. I don't want
Yeah.
anybody getting in.
I love Mind Flayer.
That was a good call.
They're awesome.
So he got wormed. He got
got
wormed.
wormed.
He got.
And then we see him kind of like, while he's paralyzed, he kind of shudders, and then his eyes just close.
Yep.
And so we all collectively look at each other like, is he out?
You think he's done?
So we should steal his shit, right?
And I'm like, well, Justin's like, he's like, we need to go. We need to get out of here. Like, we don't have time to fuck around with this. And I'm like, Cody took a long time to, like, identify the room for us and all.
He said
all
it
the
was
cool
really
shit in
opulently
here.
decorated.
I'm like, there's shit from other worlds in here.
It's a good call too that we stole it. We stole this like cool cape that makes me more charismatic,
Mm-hmm.
and we got some other shit. Did we ever open that chest?
No.
We didn't take it.
No.
Oh, we didn't take it.
The rapier
Because it was
pretty
like,
cool.
it was a bigger chest.
Oh, I was just imagining a little chest.
This sword can cut the tether between you and your body.
A cool rapier that does. It's a +1 rapier with like soul slicing.
Yeah.
I would have loved the idea. Like, I was under the impression that it was going to take like a week or something for it to like really kick in. And maybe it still does. Maybe just rendered him unconscious for a moment. I'm not really sure. We're probably never going to learn. But I'm like, okay. I'm like, if I just unhold person this guy, he's just going to do something to us. So let's take his weapons. And if he does start to fight back, we just beat the ever-loving shit out of him. Like, while it's silenced. And then we let him go and he just fucking...
He just face plants on his desk. And, like, there was a part of me that was like, I hope he's not dead. I hope he's not dead. I hope
we did everything right. We followed the instructions to the letter.
Leave it to the Gith Yankee to have some sort of mechanical mousetrap inside their brain.
Oh my god.
Just a kill switch.
Yeah.
Not even that. It just catches the fucking slug and like breaks its back or something.
Oh, that's cute.
It's like a squid, so like the back half of his body just immediately turns
His head
white.
explodes.
Yeah.
They all file out the back of the ship. They jump ship, and Reese casts Featherfall on them, and I swoop in with the wasp that we're flying. We're flying a wasp class vessel.
You know, I should have used the opportunity to be like, aim for the bushes.
We didn't.
Lost opportunity.
I swoop in under them, and we get the fuck out of there. Mission accomplished. We are leaving the dragon in our rear view, but then another dark portent of things to come begins, like in the city proper of Tunerith. We see this. Is it a funnel cloud or a whirlpool?
It's like a funnel cloud. It's in the clouds.
There's these like dark clouds that surround Tunerith, and in the clouds there's this funnel cloud that's just coming down, and this bright red light is like emanating throughout it. I'm imagining like it's season 2 of Stranger Things is what I'm imagining.
Okay, sure. Okay. Yeah. And during this time, like, there's just an enormous, ferocious storm taking place here. Like, all the clouds around here are just, like, pitch black. The only light is from, like, lightning and this glowing red funnel above the palace in Tunerith and the platinum dragon that is still flying around. The wind is howling. The rain is buffeting them. It's impossible to hear anything. It's just crazy loud and cold.
I'm seriously just imagining that one scene from Stranger Things season 2 where you see like clearly there's some sort of form in the cloud, but there's lightning behind him, and you see a shadow. That's fucking exactly what it was.
Yep.
Well, yeah, because then there's that part where all of the funnel just sucked into Reese. And
Right. You go. You did it great.
So this funnel cloud wraps around the palace in Tunerith, up through the blackness, and this red light starts shining down, and the platinum dragon starts flying towards this disturbance, and out of this funnel flies down another enormous colossal dragon. This one has scales the color of blood and shadow, and from its body erupts 5 different necks with 5 different heads, and it crashes into this platinum dragon in such a way that the collision and the sound of the impact reverberates not just through the astral plane, but through space itself, and even through time. Like, this is 2 gods that have not met each other since before creation began, once again returning to fight.
Not only do we have Dragon Satan to contend with, that's what Tybalt sees. So Tybalt is of the giant, like, pantheon. He kind of holds a lot of reverence for the giant pantheon, and they quashed the Draconomachy. And then I see Dragon Satan, Platinum Dragon Satan, be summoned. Not only that, motherfucking Hiram McDaniels shows up. A literal 5-headed dragon shows up and starts fighting the Platinum Satan.
I haven't thought about Hiram McDaniels in so long.
And if you thought the Platinum Dragon was destroying Tunerith before, they are ripping this dead body apart. Like, this dead god's corpse is just being ripped apart by the impacts of their fight.
So I don't know if you ever described what the body looked like. But to me, it's a bipedal god, massive thing. There's some Yu-Gi-Oh cards that it reminds me of it. And so he's just like on his back, hands kind of up. There's like now buildings built on it and a road going down his arm to connect with the main thing on his chest. The big palace is right in the middle of his chest and like on his kneecaps and everything. And there's these just two massive dragons on top of it fighting.
This is what it looks like. I'll put the picture in the video.
I like my brain better.
I believe it's a biped with 6 arms.
Okay.
I think he mentioned having 6
That
arms.
makes sense.
So, a kaiju fight is happening on top of a dead god. And they are ripping the god apart accidentally just by fighting each other.
Dude, it's...
While we're just like, okay, see you
let's
later.
get out of here.
For everybody who's listening and learning about Cody's world with us right now, this is the equivalent of Bahamut and Tiamat.
Yep.
What?
So, if anybody's going to sit here and correct us about it, fuck off. This is Cody's world, all right? This is how he built it, and I love it.
That was supposed to be T-Man?
Yeah.
What?
I can't tell
That's
if you're
crazy.
being serious or not.
Whoa.
That's crazy, Chris.
I thought it was a Hydra.
So then, while this whole thing
It's
was
Hiram
going down,
McDaniels, actually.
while this whole thing was going down, Reese is like, hey, yo, guys, there's like a fucking shit ton of loot over here at fucking Space Dockport. We could just kind of get this. And everybody just kind of looks at him as we hear a fucking nuke go off in the background. It's like, all right, never mind, let's go.
Like, I just imagine you were like, but the loot... behind you.
I mean...
Just Godzilla cries in the background.
Dude,
Oh, man.
it was absolutely beautiful.
So it would have went excellently. We got in there, got out of there. Everybody was safe except for poor Sister Crippins and Parchment Shredder.
Nope, cantilever.
Cantilever.
well, all the Zerai died.
And actually, we don't know what happened to any of the Zerai because that shit broke in two.
Either way, they're not our problem. We were gone.
Maybe they got absorbed into Bahamut.
We had Volker. We had Sphinx Corpse. Everything we had accomplished, everything we came in to accomplish had been accomplished. Wormed the guy.
It sounds like there's a butt coming.
The butt is big.
It's
Is
a
big
pretty-
old Reese's juicy ass. Is what I'm talking about.
That's
Well,
a
I
big
mean-
old butt.
Well, I mean, he's as strong as his brain is, and he does his brain squats.
He does his brain squats. How does it work? Do I get smarter when I work out in the Astral Sea? That's the question. So, Reese.
Reese is currently suffering from minor,
Minor.
just a small amount of magical psychosis.
As a treat.
And basically what that does is he's becoming addicted to casting spells and channeling magic. And at this point, it's basically like a nicotine addiction. Like, it makes him grumpy, but it's not something that is overtaking his life.
Worst he's gonna do is snap at you some.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But otherwise, he can keep it under control.
And right now, we go into fights. Reese gets to cast spells. Reese is a happy little gnome boy.
Yep.
He's a happy little gnome.
Then we had some downtime.
Then we had some downtime.
We had to go from point A to point B, or I guess point B to point A.
Yep.
And on our way back to point A, there was nothing for Reese to do.
At this point, we're rounding third base.
Right.
We're on our way home.
Mm-hmm.
We are on our way to completing the whole mission and being back to killing fucking snakes.
And then we had the one save that we couldn't inspire
Use inspiration on.
Yep.
against our
So
buddy.
every week in the Astral Sea, all of the spellcasters have to make a sanity check or risk suffering from magical psychosis.
It's another week to get to the portal, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be another fucking check.
You're right.
And so John fails his check again and is now suffering from major magical psychosis.
And it starts getting dark.
Yeah.
It's not okay. You go for it. What's going on with you?
So it starts out with minor irritation, slight addiction, easily irritable kind of thing. Where now, those basic little cantrips and little flings don't really do anything for him anymore. That was kind of his holding at bay kind of strategy against it. And after that day of travel, or a day's worth of time of travel, because there are no days in the Astral Sea, he just has to blow the load, you know? And I've kind of been playing Reese where he got a necromancy spell as one of his 3rd level spells. Necromancy doesn't really sit well with anybody in Cody's world. So I've just kind of been playing him as an edgelord whenever he does the spell, just because I think it's fun and fitting. And Cody's like, hey, you need to cast this spell. And I'm like...
I think he asks to John, what is your most dramatic spell?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, that would make the most sense as my most dramatic spell. It's either that or Shadowblade.
Yeah.
And I do that. And so he creates these ghosts that form around him. And flavor-wise, I created them as the ghosts of our dead comrades. And everybody's like, whoa, Reese, what the fuck's going on? Why'd you stop driving the ship? And Reese is like, dramatic backstory, I don't know. He starts not being able to cope with things. He's having problems. It's growing worse. And nobody really knows how to approach him about it. And with it, he starts to get incoherent.
A little delusional.
Yeah. A little delusional. He starts trying to open his mind to more powerful things. But essentially, he's just starting to, like, eat away at his own brain about being power hungry.
Mm-hmm.
And the party is trying to find ways to handle that. And for the most part, they were pretty cool about it. Until things start to go sour. Because Reese is starting to go so fucking nuts that he's starting to, like, see the life force of people and be like, I want that.
He's like touching people and feeling...
I want Balkner's milk.
He's touching people and feeling like their magical essence that they innately have inside themselves if they're a caster. And I immediately went to like, are you becoming like a mana vampire? Where you can feed on... And he's talking about how like, Cody was saying to you what you're thinking is, you're holding a dagger. I just one poke and it all comes leaking out. Are you a fucking vampire? What's happening to you?
I don't know, Scott.
I don't know.
I'm just sitting over here worm tugging in his ear.
Yeah.
Like, hey, Andrews has got a lot of magical power in his body. You just poke him once, all that magic is coming out and it's yours.
There was only a devil on your shoulder. The fact that you didn't kill one of us is a miracle.
And like,
he wouldn't have been able to. He used all his spell slots.
That's true. I really wouldn't be able to do a whole lot against you guys.
Is that one level fighter?
There is that one level of fighter. There's that one level of fighter.
No one expects that one
There's
level
that one
of fighter.
level of fighter and my 20 fucking AC, bitch, come at me!
Okay, that's a good one.
But Balkner, like, Andy's main character, because now both of Andy's characters are here, goes and sits beside him and is, like, trying to, like, show that he still trusts him and he cares about him. And, that was when the life essence thing started to really happen. When we got to the point where Reese threatened Andreas with the dagger, Tybalt's like, if this is going to be a problem, it's going to stop being a problem real quick.
Yeah.
And I'm like, maybe he's right.
It's like, I have in my head that I could have sworn somebody told us that, like, you not only just lose sense of yourself, your body starts to deteriorate and you become magic.
But this was an eye-opening moment for Reese. These people that he's learned to work with and grow around and become friends with, he's now become a threat to.
Right.
And he doesn't know what to do with himself, so he shuts himself off in a corner and tries to just forget the world for a second. And then they feed him more of his crack addiction.
Right. We like start taking apart our magical guns that we have from the Astral Sea and giving him the magic gems that power the guns, and he can just hold them, and it's like nicotine gum.
Yeah.
He was going to try to he was trying to get Seamus to do something, because he was going to Shadowblade and try to make it so that your arm stopped working.
He's going to try and make it to
your shooting arm.
He's trying to fuck around and find out.
Yeah.
With Seamus.
Oh dear.
Yep.
Because you don't threaten his gun.
I was going to try to do dark things. Reese has an ability to detect thoughts that he's used to help interrogate people. I was going to ask Andreas, be like, hey, I'd like to kind of relive those moments that you tried to share with us. Can I dig into your brain and, experience that with you? And, just some real fucked up shit. But, Reese is not in an okay position.
Yeah.
Reese is in a very terrible mental state right now.
So, we're on the clock here, because Prodigal Station is now in sight. You guys dock, and you're trying to wrap up this arc of the campaign. And so Tybalt is like, I'm going to go. What did Tybalt want to do, actually? You were trying to go shop.
I wanted to go shop we're just real quick. The longer we stay in the Astral Sea, the worse it's going to get for all of our casters, especially for Reese, because it's already pretty bad for him. So I gave everybody a task. Reese, do fucking nothing and wait. Bogner, you wait with Reese. Andreas, you go and do fucking something. I don't remember what. Elizabeth had to go do something. I was going to go shop and spend all my money. I left the ship, immediately ran into the Unknowable One's agent, and he's just like, hey, that thing you wanted to do, he wants to talk to you about it. Or that thing he wanted you to do, he wants to talk to you about it right now. I'm like, fucking, well, let me see a payphone real quick. And I go to a payphone, I'm like, hey, I'm going to go see the Unknowable One, and I go back.
So, slow it down a little bit. You were going to go do what?
I was going to go shop.
He was going to spend all their money and buy stuff that they can flip once they get back to the material plane.
Faulkner was going to stay here. Andreas was going to go get the two people that we'd already found. Is that what he was doing?
Andreas was going to go get Oscar and
Irian.
And Elizabeth was going to go to Zemo's. In the moment, I'd forgotten, but she was going to go there to ask about reviving Sven in a more easy way than we could in the real world.
And then Seamus was useless.
And Seamus was also going to just stick around.
Well,
Seamus isn't part of the group, and I didn't know what to tell him. I couldn't order you to do something, so I'm like, you're your own person.
Yeah, Tybalt was like, what you were doing for us is done. You can leave. However, Seamus is under the impression that his job with you is not done until you are gone.
Home.
Okay, my question for you there: you can't fly ships.
He's not when you leave.
Oh, when we leave Prodigal Station.
Yes.
Okay, so with all those in place, Reese was like, I'm not fucking staying on this ship. But I'm like, Reese needs to sell it so it looks like he's being a good kid. So he waits for Tybalt and Elizabeth to leave. And he was also like, Andreas, you don't need to do that. You can just cast a sending spell from here and tell them like, hey, we can go.
You should have just been let him go, because then your plan would have worked.
I should have, but you're right. But
he's behaving irrationally.
Reese is trying to sell that he's trying to do better. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then he brings the three of them together and is like, hey, I want to try this really opening experience while he's in a vulnerable state. And everybody pity says yes.
He's got Andreas, Balkner, and Seamus with him.
You apologize to Seamus for being a dick earlier.
Yep.
And
you're right.
You got me, Chris, because I'm so gullible.
It was even to the point where with Catnap, every creature has to be willing. Mm-hmm. So if they think they're willingly accepting what he was trying to do, then they should just work.
He was spouting some bullshit about we're going to share a dream or something. We're going to share a dream of some of my most vulnerable moments or whatever you said. Mm-hmm. And when he's like, I cast Catnap, there was a brief moment where I'm like, I didn't know it did that.
And if it's willing creatures, they just go to sleep. However...
Well, let's not overlook the fact that, this was, a bit of a banner moment.
Yeah.
This is you openly declaring at the table, I am betraying the party.
Yep.
Yeah.
I am screwing everybody over.
Yep.
And I think, I just had to take, a moment. I'm like, whoa, he's really doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm so proud of my little boy.
His plan was to cast Catnap on the only 3 other people on the ship and put them to sleep so that he can...
Go wherever he wanted to go.
Go into the city unmolested. And
basically, the spell just... In normal play, what the spell would do is give either... give your friends...
Up to 3 willing creatures would be magically asleep for 10 minutes.
And it gives them a short rest.
Assuming that it doesn't get interrupted by something attacking them or forcing them to be awake. And it would give them the equivalent of a short rest.
So it takes what would normally be an hour-long rest and makes it a 10-minute thing.
Yep.
That you can do in the middle of a dungeon or something.
Exactly.
And so it's a good spell.
Yeah.
I've never even considered it could have been used like this. I genuinely trust you so much that I'm like, I didn't know it did that. I didn't know you could share a dream.
Also, let's just point out how much stronger this is than the spell Sleep.
Yeah.
Sleep is
they do have
garbage.
To be willing.
That's true. They do have to be willing. So I guess this was a bit of an edge case.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yep.
But it was such a creative use of this spell.
Great job.
The only but that comes with this is Justin's character, Andreas,
Is
a half-elf who cannot magically be put to sleep.
And that got all of us. Like, we had moved on, assuming Reese had succeeded.
I had already started to
let's
message
see.
Cody. I had already started to message Cody what I was going to do, because now no one knows where the fuck Reese is going to be.
And Justin's is just like, hold on.
I can't be magically put to sleep.
So I just see him over there, and he's like, guys,
we need to backtrack.
I'm a half-elf. Yeah, Justin, we know.
We know,
We
Justin.
keep making racist elf jokes all the time about you. I can't be magically put to sleep. What?
So we had to rewind, and the scene is just like Reese sitting there, like putting on airs of his spell, like doing the catnap, arms out, cross-legged on the ground, and he's like, and he releases the spell, ooh, and I just imagine him opening his eyes and looking around,
and
Seamus just staring at him like,
Seamus and Elizabeth are just knocked out.
Seamus and Balkner. He did this to his best friend.
I just imagine
the Nomies.
Andreas is just so stoic of a character that he's just like watching Reese do this, and then he just like looks over and he's like, "Why are they?
Did you put them to sleep?
Did you try to put me to sleep?"
That's how this felt. They're experiencing it right now, Andreas. I'm just trying to go somewhere, okay?
You lied to me.
Yeah, that was like you almost stabbed me. All right, I can look past that.
But you lied to me?
Lied to me.
And then with this banner and the gears, Reese just, because he can in the Astral Sea, he can just start flying. He just takes off of this ship and just flies into the city. And I just imagine Andreas like staring off as he rockets away.
This motherfucker.
Andreas tried to cast Hold Person, and I barely made the save.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I got exactly what I needed.
And I just see Andreas watching him walk or fly off into the distance, and he just kind of like about faces and just walks off the ship and up the pier and just follows him.
And like in this talk after this, where Andreas's trust was betrayed, he was like, "Nah, I need to go to a temple. I need to I really have this large amount of guilt for the Zerai that died for their cause, but he felt like the blood was on his shoulders."
Odd place for blood.
I know, right? Well, he's short, so yeah, that's where it lands first.
Blood is on my shoulders.
And he's like, why would I trust you? He's like, and Reese, who's a fucking insane person right now, is like, you know what? You're right. I'm just gonna go to Zemo's and say goodbye to them. And he's like, I'm just gonna follow you. And we take off. It cuts to somebody else, but I hear Chris while it's going through somebody else's scene. Chris is like, wait, so he's not actually going to Zemo's?
No, like halfway, like Justin's like, Justin says, I'm running. I'm trying to follow him, and I'm heading towards the
temple district.
The temple district. And my head was like, oh, he's not going to Zemo's. And then I just turned to Scott and I'm like, Scott, I'm such like a fucking idiot. Like I would have gone to Zemo's because like that was the last place he said he was going.
Meanwhile, while all this shit is happening with fucking Reese, Tybalt's on cloud 9 because he just met with the unknowable one, the mind flayer who had given us the worm job. And we had given the worm job to our target. So now that he'd been worm jobbed, the mind flayer is like, great, you did excellent. Like that was a primo guy.
Above and beyond the Call of Duty.
Seriously, as recompense, you get to keep the dark edge. Isn't that great?
And it's destroyed at the bottom of the Astral
I just
Sea.
like imagine Tybalt like doing the One Punch Man. Okay.
I love how you're like, I will do with it what I see fit.
Yeah.
So when he finds it destroyed, it was like, oh yes.
He must have got mad. And then he's like, and I'll grant you a boon, Mr. Greylock. And he talks really slow, but I'm not going to do that for the podcast. I'll grant you a boon, Mr. Greylock. And out of the goodness of my heart, I could have asked for anything. Riches beyond imagination. I'm like, hey, could you fix this magical psychosis thing that my friend is going through? And he's like, that's what you want? I'm like, that's what I want.
You want to help your friend?
yeah, that's what I want. All right.
Yeah, I know a guy.
So imagine this timeline, okay? They get to Prodigal Station. Elizabeth and Tybalt head out. Andreas is supposed to head out on his job. Reese convinces him to stay. Reese attempts to catnap all three of them. Instead, he goes on a wild goose chase with Andreas in hot pursuit. Elizabeth comes back from Zemos to find Seamus and Balkner magically asleep. She slaps them awake. She's like, what happened? And they're like, I don't know. And Elizabeth's like, I need to go to the Temple District to try and help get Sven resurrected. They're like, all right, let's go to the Temple District. Meanwhile, Oscar and Irian, who Andreas called, who we're supposed to be escorting back to the material plane, show up to an empty ship. Everybody is gone. And they're like, what the hell? And then Tybalt comes back from the Unknowable Ones appointment, and it's just Oscar and Irian, and nobody who he started with is there either.
I like to imagine that, like, as soon as that happens, he's like, damn you, Reese!
Well, we got Reese! And that's where we ended.
There will be a reckoning.
Oh.
A reckoning will come. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Oh, that is not where
I've
we
had
ended.
18 pieces in the last 16 minutes.
I've cast 37 spells in the past 14 sectors.
Where we ended at was Reese made it to the Temple District that he wanted to be at.
Mm-hmm.
And he went down to this now abandoned Zerai place where, like, in his head and in my canon, he could hear, like, echoes of them talking. What it was really, he was just kind of casting the cantrip spell message and hearing their voices. Because he's been doing that thing. He can hear memories through that. And he went down to the podium, started to pray for the first time ever, apologizing for feeling like he abused them by using them as a distraction.
I have a question. Can the message spell be used to make other people hear the memory?
Didn't try.
What do you mean?
I didn't try to make other people hear memories.
We could do something with that, surely. You could send a message to somebody pretending to be somebody else.
I think it's also only in the Astral Sea.
Oh.
So he went down there and he was praying for the first time ever. And he mentioned in the prayer that Andreas was the first person that made him start to think, like, hey, maybe the gods can actually help me. And Andreas comes down here and he's like, I can't do a French accent very well, but he's like, what the fuck are you doing here? And he's like, I don't know, just trying to something, man. And he's like, you really think the gods are going to listen to you? And it's like, oh. So then he's like, tie yourself up, we're going home. So like a dog on a leash.
Whew. What an unexpected and tumultuous ending to this session.
I just wanted to go home.
And we're still not home.
I know we did, but John saw past Scott in the exact same moment. Like, I looked over at you while you were doing your thing, and, like, I had the vision that I had when I looked at you and I was like, do I pull the trigger? Do I throw the fireball? And you're like, I'm like, do I cast catnap? And you're like, yeah. And I'm like, I cast catnap.
Oh. Hey, so Chris's corner.
Chris, what do you want to talk about for the next 2 hours? All our podcasts are 3 hours long now.
They have to be.
Oh, yeah.
It's a short corner.
Remember when you agreed to that?
What was your corner even going to be? I forget.
So I really enjoy this YouTube channel called Overly Sarcastic Productions.
I hate them.
All right.
And that's our corner.
Well, they have a series they do called Trope Talk. And they talk about tropes in media, and like their influences and examples and how they can be bad and good. And so I wanted to be like, so what are some tropes that you guys like or dislike? Because personally, I love a good meet cute.
Meet cube?
Cute.
Oh.
Where like you'll have two characters and they're going down the hallway and they're rushing down the hallway. They bump into each other and papers go flying everywhere. And it's like, oh, and they reach for the same piece of paper and they touch hands and they lock eyes.
Mm-hmm.
This happened like 2 times to me and John.
It's kind of like that scene in Lion King where Simba and Nala fall down the
And
hill,
then they bang.
and then they fuck.
Yeah.
Thing is, though, the reason I love it so much is because
You want it to happen to you so bad.
Is that why
Fuck
you went
you.
to school for so long?
Yes. I watched Totally Spies a lot growing up in middle school and high school.
I never could have guessed it was going to Totally Spies.
And every single episode of Totally Spies starts with one of the girls having a meet cute of bumping into some bumping into some
Even
pretty
funnier
boy
the second time.
in the high school.
He's gone.
Are you suffering from psychosis?
Right. And I just love that trope so much.
I can talk
Because that-
about a trope. I don't know. I don't even really know if it's a trope, but this is just something that happens in like multi-camera sitcoms. You see it all the time in something like Friends, where they say something that's so funny, and then they go, waiting for the audience to stop laughing.
Yeah.
And I see that and I'm like, that's fucking stupid. This looks stupid. This is so unnatural. And I get that's the point. And maybe I'm the wrong one. Obviously, I am the wrong one because those kinds of sitcoms are super popular, but I hate them solely because people don't act like people.
It's weird. I never really thought about it until now, but like a multi-camera sitcom with a live studio audience is basically just a taped theatrical production. It's like a play. And like the people in the show, in the production, are like reacting to the audience's reaction. It's very odd.
I don't like it.
This is weirdly making me think of the Spider-Man No Way Home, because I just recently watched it on
No Way Home is the multiverse one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And there's a moment in it when Andrew Garfield first shows up and takes his mask off. It sits
like
on him.
a moment
It sits
for the
on
audience.
him for like 5 seconds
Yeah.
for everybody to start cheering and everything.
Yeah.
But they kept that in originally when they brought it to like live streams, and they just recently edited it down so you only have like a second on him.
Oh, really?
But yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
I don't think that's true.
Okay.
I don't believe you.
Well, I just watched this. Okay. I don't know what to tell you.
I
It
remember
definitely isn't
cheering.
as long.
Okay.
I remember cheering when he came on.
Of course you would.
A lot. Of
I was stoic.
I know. You are.
That's a trope, a bit of like the grand reveal
Mhm.
Sure.
of a character
Yeah.
that everyone kind of expected but didn't really expect, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, what's another example?
Well, they
Tobey
do-
Maguire in No Way Home.
Oh,
yeah,
oh,
yeah.
oh, yeah.
Whew.
Iron Man suddenly showing up at the end of the Hulk as well,
Sure.
or something like that.
Yeah.
That one was really unexpected,
Yes,
though.
you should have seen Little Boy Scott.
in the later seasons of Supernatural, like Cash shows up out of nowhere all the time.
I don't even know who that is. I don't know what that show is. Is it the Buffy thing?
No,
No, it's the
Supernatural
boys.
is the two brothers.
It's the Wincest.
Oh, I'm thinking of Angel.
The Wincest.
Angel is the Buffy
The internet
thing.
loves them
I know.
together, and they're the
Oh.
Winchester brothers. So
Are they related to the Winchester, rifle family?
no,
Oh.
All right.
maybe I don't know. I stopped watching it after like 10 episodes.
There's plenty of anime tropes that I actually enjoy.
I was gonna say,
yeah.
I don't mind the one of the main character being a fucking idiot and always having the biggest appetite in the room.
That is like a huge...
That's like the most common one.
I feel like the idiot part is just so people can explain things at them for the sake of the
Yeah.
audience.
Is
Yeah.
Goku a himbo?
Yeah.
Sure.
What's
Basically.
What's the
It's a-
bow-
It's a male
it's-
bimbo.
A bimbo,
Oh.
Kind of airheaded and hunky.
You know,
Yeah.
the first place I saw this and recognized it after my 6th playthrough was Final Fantasy X.
You guys just said...
Waka is kind of a himbo.
Titus also is just thrown into an area that he doesn't know, but yeah, Waka's a fucking moron.
Yeah.
When you guys said, is Goku a himbo? My brain is so fried that I played a meme in my head. You're like, is Goku a himbo? And then, like, we all, and then just, it was the like, dramatic Ultra Instinct music with, like, da, 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 but it's just, like, real quick, like, a reaction shot of him, like, reacting to us asking. Wow, what a fucking idiot.
Every once in a while, I see the short clip of Krillin being like, Goku, I want you to punch me as hard as you can.
And it concusses his face.
And he just like, his fist absorbs. Like Goku's like, are you sure it's gonna hurt? Yeah, I'm ready. It's really, really gonna hurt. Okay. And you just see his fist gets absorbed into his face before he just fucking flips away. Yeah. And you see him go like 10 miles.
One thing that I don't think gets enough credit. One of my favorite scenes is him and Goku and Gohan have like, they're like training their body to be acclimated to being a Super Saiyan all the time to fight Cell.
This is in the hyperbolic time chamber?
No, this is just after that. Like they get a week before the Cell games start. They're just like chilling out, hanging out with their family.
Oh, and they're Super Saiyan the whole time.
And like Goku's lying on the beach with Gohan, just like chilling out, Super Saiyan the whole time, eyes closed, and Krillin's like, what incredible power! I bet he's like so aware that I could throw this rock at him and he'll be able to catch it with his bare hand. And he just hucks a rock at Goku's head, and Goku just gets hit in the head with the rock. He's like, oh, shit! Ow! Why did you do that? And I just, that's funny to me.
Dude, that never happened anymore nowadays because Goku's Ultra Instinct.
There's another
and his body
scene,
can think for itself.
Absolutely.
There's another scene that I saw when I was just kind of numbly scrolling through Facebook. And I don't know if somebody just like voiced it over or this is an actual scene from the show. But it was during the Black Saga, I guess, where they went back in time with Trunks again. And Trunks kisses the one girl, and Goku's like, What'd you just do? And but she's like, he kissed her, dude. What are you talking about? He's like, you used your mouth? You kissed her? And he's like, Goku, or Kakarot, you have 2 kids. You never kissed Chi-Chi? He's like, that's gross.
I don't remember that.
I think it has to be like played over. But it was played over so well. Like, it was hilarious to me.
Man.
To be fair, we watched the sub, not the dub of Super. True. So I don't know.
True.
Yeah, I highly doubt something like that happened, but...
Well, I mean, the dub has some pretty great moments, like the don't shoot, he's not black.
Yeah. But they were, that wasn't a joke. That was just like tone deaf. He's not black. Don't shoot. Jesus.
The fact that got through. It's hilarious to me.
I imagine Black Goku in Japanese there's like some sort of actual name he has. That's not just Black Goku.
What's black in I was gonna say Spanish.
In Spanish, what's black? Negro.
Excuse me?
Yes.
That's what it is in Spanish, negro.
I can't remember what it is.
Great job.
In Japanese.
All those lessons, huh?
What tropes do you like?
I know how to say apple.
I'm trying to think. I am a big sucker for I am fighting for friendship and love. Like, I was recently watching The Lord of the Rings again, and there's a scene in the 3rd movie. It's kind of an overlooked scene, I feel, especially for all of the emotional scenes that are in that 3rd movie. But it's when the Riders of Rohan are traveling to Gondor, and Eowyn and Merry are just kind of hanging out, talking.
Oh, yeah, hell yes.
And Merry is just like, if I was, a great warrior of Gondor or a squire of Rohan, maybe I could make a difference in this war. But I'm not. I'm just a hobbit. And I accept the fact that I'm not going to be able to save Middle-earth. But I just want to see my friends again. And I want to make sure that they're safe. And I don't know. I'm just a sucker for that kind of stuff.
Were you a fan of Yu-Gi-Oh?
Yu-Gi-Oh, yeah, for like the first 2, maybe 3 seasons.
Okay.
It didn't hit the same.
Yeah.
Sorry,
the power of friendship.
You were talking about Gondor, and it just made me remember the lord that caught on fire when he was trying to roast his son. And just zooms out while he's running across the edge and just fucking falls.
Do you remember that original song that played in Yu-Gi-Oh! When Joey and Yugi fought each other at the Pegasus tournament?
No.
No matter what.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah. No matter what, may the best man win. You don't remember that?
I do.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
God, I loved Yu-Gi-Oh! As a kid. now that we went back and watched it like a couple years ago, probably like fucking 10 years ago at this point.
It was a while ago.
It was a while ago. I realized I've changed a lot since then, one. And two, that show's so dog shit.
It was a slog. It is just so much of nothing happening, and then you get to the end and, hey, I drew the right card and won.
Yeah. But then, like, they're also just, like, doing these, like, they're trying to make it creative, so, like, you don't know what's happening next. Like, they're trapped in the swords of revealing light, and they can't get out while the tower fucking falls on them.
No! My monsters! They can't get out, Pain. They're trapped by your yellow luster shield.
Yeah.
I target the levitation ring on your castle of darkness.
No!
Or,
You
like,
don't stand a
Ghost of a chance!
or, like, fucking... Yugi's like, yeah, of course you can see my grandpa's fucking legendary Exodia cards. Did Joey just jump over? He can't even swim. Like,
You'll never be able to use this against me now, Yugi boy.
I don't know. Again, I don't know if this is a trope. It is a trope in my head because it's something that I just kind of see crop up, and it's probably false equivalency. But I call it the Piccolo effect.
Mm-hmm.
So many different things, be they movies, even do this. Not even anime, but a lot of anime have this, where there's just he's not the strong guy. He's not the strong one. That's usually the main character. But he's like the guy who's strong, but he doesn't like beat the bad guy. He's not the one who.
in Dragon Ball, it was Krillin.
In Dragon
no, it
Ball,
was Piccolo.
no, Piccolo was the bad guy in Dragon Ball.
Oh, in Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
In Dragon Ball Z, Piccolo is consistently number 3.
Yeah.
Behind Goku and Vegeta.
Absolutely.
So he's the strong one. He is the strong one. Your hero's the hero. Vegeta would be our foil. And Piccolo is our strong man. The strong man, one of the jobs of them is to be Worfed. And that's named for, in the Next Generation, we had Worf, who was the strong guy. He was a Klingon, and he could beat up anybody.
But when the bad guy beats Worf.
But when the bad guy beats Worf, you know, oh no, he can beat Worf. He's so strong.
Yamcha
But then
was the one.
Yeah.
Happens.
Oh.
every
Yamcha was
maybe.
consistently number 3.
In Dragon Ball. But then he gets Worfed by fucking a Cyberman.
Yeah.
But
What?
There's a
I
new
never
strong
really
man in
thought
town.
about that, because that happens very early on in Dragon Ball Z.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
episode 2.
Yamcha was a pivotal character in Dragon Ball.
Yep.
And it's just like, nope, he's dead
He's
now.
dead.
Yep.
He's
Whoa.
a corpse.
Are we
Look
sure?
at his corpse.
Was it him or was it Tien?
Both
He died first. Tien died. Tien did he
Chaozu
die?
blew himself up.
Tien lost his arm for sure. I don't know if
Yeah.
Tien died.
I'm pretty sure Tien lost his arm when he was fighting
Nappa.
Nappa.
And then
Nappa
Chaozu
just karate
Nappa, no.
chops
Yeah.
his arm off.
and Chaozu like blows himself up. Goodbye, Tien.
Dude,
But like
Team 4 Stars thing where they're like, no, Chaozu, we already run you once. The Dragon Balls don't work a second time.
What?
the like their teacher in Naruto is the Piccolo. I feel I forget his name. He's got white hair.
Karuchi.
Karuchi, sure.
No.
Kakashi?
Kakashi.
I knew I'd get there. Carrot cake.
He fills the Piccolo role in my eyes, and I've always had a weak spot for those characters. They're not the main ones; they're the strong ones in the background that usually, like you said, get beat, or they're just there to teach like the new main character how to be strong or whatever.
Man, the only like real what the fuck moment I had from Naruto was when like him and Naruto and Sasuke like did the shadow clone with the blade and the shadow blade thing to fight the water sword dude like early on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and then like they went back and they started to explain it, or they at least like replayed it in a way that like we were able to catch on what happened. And then from there on, it was just downhill and nobody could follow a goddamn thing they did.
That was actually pretty neat. They had used established techniques that they had put forward, and then it's just like, oh, literally from that point on, there might be a few, but for the most part, it's always just like, I used an even stronger version of this move, or whatever the fuck, and it's boring.
So, I would also like to touch on the reverse of that question that I posed initially.
Trope
I
you
don't
hate?
remember what it was.
What's a trope you hate?
I hate the trope when your main character is in a duel with a opponent who has a fish-based deck, And then he uses his full moon card to change the tides and kill all of his fish monsters.
What's even stupider is...
Not so fast, Mako!
He used the full moon card after he had already had fish, and then he broke the full moon, and that made the water go away?
Yeah. I hate the trope where every single bad guy becomes your fucking friend.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you, Fast and Furious.
Yeah, that happens 3 or 4 times in that series.
Who do you ship Jason Momoa with?
9.
In the Fast
I think
and
he
Furious?
actually becomes part of the crew.
Well, who do you ship him with? Who's he gonna bang?
They all fuck Vin.
Each other? Oh.
They all fuck Vin.
Ludicrous.
Okay, alright.
That's ridiculous.
No, but, like...
John didn't even... Great. Anyway.
I hate fridging.
What's that?
Fridging.
I think he's explained this to me, but I asked it for the sake of the podcast.
Game of Thrones is fridging. It's where I'm not gonna write this character anymore. I don't want to. So we're going to kill him off in the most unceremonious way possible.
Oh,
And
like
it
putting
comes,
in the fridge like leftovers.
Yeah, well, literally, it's because I learned this from Trope Talk, not an ad, where
It's not a product.
It's from a Green Lantern comic. His girlfriend at the time.
Oh, they find her dead in the fridge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
What?
Like off panel, because it's a comic book, so I can't say screen. So off panel, some guy finds out, oh, this is Green Lantern's girlfriend. So they kill her and put her in the fridge.
And he comes home and opens up the fridge, and her
his
corpse
wife.
is just sitting
Wow,
there.
DC is dark as fuck.
Well, that's the thing. It's just edgy and bullshit. It's the kind of thing that made me mad. I was talking about Marvel Ruins earlier.
Mm-hmm.
It's just edgy and stupid. The story isn't good. Why is Jean Grey a teenage prostitute? Because it's edgy.
And what made me realize that I don't like this trope is Game of Thrones. Because, oh, I'm attached to this character. They're going to die. All characters in Game of Thrones die.
You know, this circles to a D&D trope that I don't really care about.
Mm-hmm.
And that's having... Every rogue has a tragic-ass backstory.
I think every character tends to
Almost
have
every character... almost every character has a tragic-ass backstory. Which is why, like, I just stopped writing that, like, my parents are dead in my backstories.
Yeah.
They might not be happy, or they might have, like, financial problems or something, but, like, they're alive.
Well, I think
that's
part
cool.
of it, this is actually a discussion we could have, I feel. I think part of it is just the ease of it. I don't have a history anymore. They're all dead. That's my history. So I can just focus on me.
Mm-hmm.
But I had a lot of fun making Tybalt. I liked the idea of, like I've told you so many times, I want to create a person in my head in the form of Tybalt. And it helps to make the people around him so he feels like more of a person. I like thinking about what he feels about his siblings or his mom or his dad, rather than just being like, they're dead and it's sad. Not to say that that's always the bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I'm sure, like Batman, he wouldn't, I guess he's the OG maybe, where he doesn't work if his parents aren't dead.
Well, I think the origin of it is literally back to Gary Gygax. And he, like, if you look at some of the early modules put out for D&D, it's just him trying to be a dick to asshole players. And so the response from asshole players is that I'm not going to give my DM something they can attack me with.
I'm not going to give my DM leverage. Everyone I know is dead.
Oh, you can't say that the bad guy stole my wife. I've had no wife. You can't say that my parents are in danger. They're already dead. I'm an orphan.
Are Reese's parents in danger?
It's been a while since you've talked to them.
Yeah.
It's almost the opposite for me.
Maybe you should call your mom sometime.
I actively hope to give the DM ammo against me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I
trust
do the
me.
same thing.
You have.
Yeah.
I always try to make a character that can be interacted with, some sort of story plot that's happened that's unfinished, and then maybe a character that I'm still currently interacting with, or having some interaction with them. So that there's, like, history that can be brought up, a story arc that can happen, and then, like, also, like, where my character is at mentally.
Right.
And look at him now. a fucking insane person.
Well, a trope that I hate a lot of tropes, to be honest. Pick one, I hate it probably. Mainly because there's like a negative connotation in my head with the word trope in general.
Yeah.
But, and I think that's the case for a lot of people. But I guess the one that I really, if I had to pick one to despise, it would be, honestly, I hate it when the good guy always wins. I remember being a kid and actively jeering when Luke blew up the Death Star. I'm like, are you kidding me, Luke? Do you know how hard they worked? Like, genuinely. I was like, they worked so hard. They were winning, and then you just had to be an asshole and win? Like, are you kidding me? I get that they, like, you're saying, oh, it's bad, they blew up all around.
So what you're telling me is you liked the end of Star Wars Episode 3?
I mean, not really, no. I liked it in the sense that I'm a Star Wars fan.
Then I just can't win with you, Scott. The bad guys won there. Mace Windu got his fucking hands cut off.
And even
in
the more modern sense, like with Endgame, I sided with Thanos when I was saying, like, they couldn't just leave it fucking well enough alone.
Mm-hmm.
They had lost, and they weren't okay with it. So they had to change fucking history to win. That's horseshit.
Yeah, I mean, Thanos says that.
Yeah, I know.
It's like you couldn't live with your failures or whatever.
Exactly.
I guess I have expressed my dissatisfaction with this particular trope on an earlier episode of the podcast, and I did it in a very dickish and douchebaggy way.
As you do.
And I feel bad for that, but I'm still sticking by my dissatisfaction with the trope.
I don't cry.
And it's the trope of taking something that is predominantly known as lighthearted or even like juvenile and making it incredibly edgy and like upscaling it for an adult audience. It's so pretentious and tryhardy because it's just about the juxtaposition of, oh, isn't it crazy that something not associated with, violence and, adult themes is now having adult themes incorporated into it.
Have you watched Madoka Magica?
Obviously not, Chris. You already knew the answer.
Is that
to
the
that.
magical girl thing with their
Yes.
What give me an example?
So the example I used on the podcast was the Winnie the Pooh horror movie that just came out.
Did anybody watch it?
No.
I heard it was absolutely terrible. And yeah, I just feel like I just don't like the angst.
It happens a lot in comics, I feel. Like, Ultimatum is my ultimate example. Where, obviously those are associated with violence in general, but not really gore, not sometimes. Especially a character like Wasp. Wasp fights Blob in Ultimatum, and Blob bites her fucking head off and eats her. And then, to get back at her, Giant Man, get back at Blob, Giant Man gets big and bites Blob's head off. And it's just a bunch of senseless death and as gory as possible, just to be shocking to the reader. And this is the last issue of the Ultimate series, so we gotta make it big. And I roll my eyes at it.
Yeah. Even at that, like, I can understand how that could give you an eye roll, but even then, I feel like, X-Men comics are, in some sense, have a bit of a mature theme to them.
Sure.
But, like, stuff is, like, where you have, like, I don't know.
Creepypastas of Peppa Pig?
Yes, sure, stuff like that. In fact, Peppa Pig was in my head right there. I was thinking of creepypastas of Teletubbies.
Oh.
But
that fucking baby face son.
I hate it.
It's more horrifying than anything I can throw at you guys in the Underdark.
In the
and it's in bright fucking sunlight.
in the new Teletubbies, it's a new baby every time.
Oh,
Great.
God. That's almost worse.
What do they do with the babies?
There's a new Teletubbies? They eat them.
Yeah.
That's what the tummy custard is.
It also, it's like a shit noise every time they go.
Yeah.
And then that vacuum cleaner, like, snurfs it up. He's like,
Yeah.
Nerf?
I don't know, like, he doesn't have a nose. So I was going to say snort, but then...
What is the vacuum cleaner's name?
I don't know. I didn't realize that they don't say words in the show.
The narrator says the name.
Does he? I don't even remember a narrator.
I'd like to move from this subject.
I just remember that, like, weird intercom comes out and tells them things to do and they do it.
Yeah.
Because it's like their god.
All hail.
So, we're at about an hour and a half now.
Yeah.
I would like to wrap up Chris's corner by asking, what's your guys' favorite character arcs from any sort of anime?
Oh, an anime specifically.
Or any movie or anything.
Okay.
Just a quick one. First thing that comes to mind, what's one that you just really enjoyed?
I mean, right off the top of my head, I've just been watching a lot of Lord of the Rings recently, so...
Aragorn?
Aragorn, sure. Aragorn's arc in the movies is much more nuanced than it is in the books, I feel. I don't know, maybe all the hobbits, I guess. I like Frodo, Sam, and Merry and Pippin.
Sam didn't do a lot of character arc growth, really. Like, he got... I don't know, he was the Rock.
Well, he has a very important central thesis to his character, which is his loyalty to Frodo.
Yeah.
But I think he does have a lot of character growth throughout the trilogy. I think he's originally very timid and shy and maybe a little cowardly when he leaves the Shire. And
what was that one video that you were saying where like every it was like a 9-hour video?
Yeah,
like
every time Sam takes a step, he says it's the furthest away from home he's ever been. Just the first movie is 9 hours long.
Oh my god.
That's amazing. That's so great.
I also just like the idea, like Frodo's arc where, you know, he sets out to save the Shire and save the world or whatever, and it eventually evolves. He doesn't stray too far from that core concept, but his expectations for the mission change, where by the end of it, he's like, I'm not getting out of this one, but it's still worth it to sacrifice myself so that everybody else can go back to the Shire.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's beautiful.
to make that a little lighthearted, and you guys probably have already heard this, but if you haven't, I just recently found out about this, like, this idea of canon that somebody has, that Frodo doesn't actually know Legolas's name. Have any of you guys heard this?
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
You've heard this? So, Scott, the reasoning behind it is, I guess there's only one line of dialogue shared between the two of them, and it's Legolas saying, "and my bow."
Yeah.
And then at the end, when, like, he's laying in the bed and everybody comes to visit him, like, he says their names and, like, the music's playing, you see him, like, lip people's names, and then Legolas shows up and he just smiles. and then it goes to the dwarf, and, like, you see him say his name. But, like, it was Aragorn before him.
Gimli,
thank you. But it was Aragorn before, and you see him say Aragorn, and then it goes to Legolas, he's like... and then it goes to Gimli, and you see him say Gimli. So it's just, like, this idea that, like, the whole time he has no idea what Legolas's name is. I think that's funny.
What's your favorite character arc, John?
My favorite character arc has to be Vegeta's neck.
I knew you were going to say
Neck.
It is an arc.
Vegeta's neck.
It is an arc.
Vegeta's neck arc. Because season 1 of Dragon Ball Z, the Saiyan Saga, he has a fucking neck the size of a fucking quarter.
And it gets thicker and thicker and
As it
thicker.
goes. And then you see him in the Boo Saga, and that motherfucker is bigger than Chris's.
Well, that's what it is. Like, that's another bit of a trope in anime where typically the best guy is thin and just svelte.
Mm-hmm.
And the worst guy is just the same. He was the worst guy in the Saiyan Saga, but they had to make him chunkier as he went. Like One Piece. Best example. Look how thin and svelte he is. Even in his super most powerful, awesome god mode he's like a stretching man.
Did you guys see the trailer?
It looked fucking
For what?
disgusting.
For what?
There's a One Piece live action
Get the
bullshit.
fuck out of here.
It looks
Is it also going to be
Oh my
500
God.
and something movies
Here's
long?
my mini rant. Okay? That's a trope I hate. Turning
Piece.
things that are animation, turning it live action and saying that it's better.
I can agree with that.
But it's a Japanese thing. It's in English, the live action thing, which is great. You know, fine. I'm all for that. They do the special moves. They say the special moves. Can you imagine if, like, they did a live action Dragon Ball, and instead of saying, like, I don't know,
Destructo
Disc, they say the Japanese words. They say, Destructo Disc. They say that, literally. That's what they're doing in the One Piece thing.
Is it?
When he goes gum gum punch, or whatever the fuck he does, in the dub, they say, in the fucking live action one, in the trailer, he goes, Gamu Gamu! Like it's fucking Japanese.
Gamu, no!
But then he speaks English. in a normal accent. Why is he saying gumu gumu?
That's not a normal accent.
Well,
that is a very annoying
He's
accent
just
that he's
speaking
using.
English. He's not Japanese. He's surely not that. But he's going gumu gumu, and I don't know what the name of the moves is, but
it's a Netflix original.
Great,
Of course.
So
because Netflix
That's
is the only
my
one who's
favorite.
really doing this shit.
That's my
Oh,
favorite character.
there's a
arc.
new season of Black Mirror. I watched the first episode.
Oh, you want to watch
It was
it?
pretty good.
You want to watch them all?
Right now?
No.
It's late.
Tomorrow? I don't know.
I'm going to the zoo.
Fuck you.
We bought a zoo. Have you seen that movie?
No.
We should end the podcast.
Sounds
yeah,
bad.
yeah. We're flailing in the wind here.
But we didn't finish John's tangent.
Oh, my tangent was over. I was going to ask you two your favorite anime.
I don't give a fuck.
The character arcs. I love the lone stranger just passing through town, finding something to care about. You see it a lot in like old Western shows and movies.
You took it back to tropes. I was just asking for something specific.
Well, I'm saying that trope is an arc, and I like that arc. It's like the best example currently on my brain is The Mandalorian. He's
Okay.
just a bounty hunter, and then he finds this kid that he's paid to keep track of.
Unfortunately, in the newer seasons, his character is just fucking nothing.
Mhm.
Like, the one thing his character had was, I hate droids because they killed my mom and dad.
Is
But then-
Mando based on True Grit?
No, it's based on a true story, actually.
Oh.
It's based on this little known work from the 1970s called Star Wars.
Star Wars.
It might just be the one Star War.
Star Wars!
They called it Star Wars, but honestly, there was only one in the whole movie.
Cody, it's
That's
time
fair.
to hover over. Oh, you're already hovering
I'm
over
hovering
the stop
over the
button.
stop
Well,
button. I'm
you know
just
what?
waiting.
And
You don't have an
Cut.
example, Scott?
There we were.
Yep. Let's see you later.
Goodbye, everybody.